And this year, in 2017, my company decided to go all in and to do it ourselves. We weren't going to wait for a network or a studio to fund it. We just believed.
Hey folks, it's Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast. We've got an exclusive Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni update to unpack. The trial isn't set until March 2026, but new information keeps emerging from unsealed court documents. It's honestly like trying to drink water from a fire hose. There's been so much happening that I wanted to pull everything together in this video. Stick around till the end, because I'll also be sharing my thoughts on Nick Viall's take, which was completely off base. Not everyone knows who he is, but he's a big podcaster and former Bachelor contestant, about 13 times over. And he's famous for taking victory laps based on fake news. He hasn't issued a retraction or anything of the sort, because frankly, he's the type of guy who farts in an elevator and walks out, leaving everyone else to deal with it. I'll get back to that later, but first, let's dive into the wild messages and updates from this week. What's becoming clearer as we go through these court details is that Blake Lively seems to have very little solid evidence. By the way, if you ever want to catch me performing live, you can head over to Rush Hour with Dave. Come and sign up for my newsletter. It's right at the bottom of the site. You'll find all my videos there too. A lot of people tell me YouTube doesn't always recommend my latest content, even to subscribers, so that newsletter is the best way to stay connected. Plus, it's free. If anything ever happens to my accounts, you'll still be able to reach me there. Now back to the case. We heard from Jamie Heath and especially his wife, Natasha Heath, whose private birthing videos were allegedly used by Blake Lively to support her claims of being exposed to inappropriate material on set. It's a messy situation. If people want to frame this as a battle between men and women, that's just not the reality. There are plenty of women on Baldoni's side who've had their reputations and lives deeply affected. Natasha Heath, for instance, had her intimate home birth footage weaponized against her. Others, including women in Baldoni's PR team, were reportedly fired, had their phones seized, and saw their private data hacked. Those are serious issues, potentially criminal ones, that could lead to charges for people like Stephanie Jones once the dust settles. So let's not oversimplify this into gender lines when real harm has been done across the board. This week, Blake Lively filed an amended complaint listing people she believes could serve as potential witnesses. But that strategy could backfire. It's almost like her trying to wield her Hollywood connections as leverage against Baldoni. She's done this before. Remember the whole Khaleesi's Dragons metaphor and the fallout with Taylor Swift? It's that same kind of power play. But the thing is, most of the people she's name-dropping want no part in this. According to reports from Deadline, her potential witness list includes major celebrities: Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Emily Blunt, Taylor Swift, Amber Tamblyn, America Ferrera, Alexis Bledel, Candace Owens, Gigi Hadid, and even Scooter Braun. And sure, that's an impressive lineup. But how many of these people have anything directly to do with this case? For instance, Emily Blunt's name appearing makes no sense. What does she have to do with any of this? Same with Candace Owens. There's speculation that Owens and others were somehow paid to support certain narratives online. But let's be real. Candace Owens' husband is worth hundreds of millions, and she's being sued by the president of France for a staggering sum. She doesn't need anyone's pocket change. I personally haven't been paid a dime by anyone involved, and no one tells me what to think or say. I research, form my own opinions, and share them honestly with you. That's my guiding principle. So, is Blake's witness list genuine or just an attempt to flex her influence? Because I can't imagine any celebrity wanting to testify for her unless they truly believed she was in the right. Take Taylor Swift, for example. Would she really put her own image and relationships at risk for something like this? It's hard to see it happening. Ultimately, this case seems less about justice and more about narrative control, reputation battles, and who can spin their version of the truth more effectively. She funded Kesha's lawsuit, right? She's Girl Power 101. Always standing by her friends when they've been mistreated, whether by a coworker, a paparazzo, or anyone else. She even sued the man who slapped her on the red carpet, and when she won, she didn't want any money. She paid the legal costs herself simply because it was the right thing to do. Taylor Swift's moral compass has always seemed solid, and that's what makes this current situation so baffling. Anyway, let's move on. We're now on page 14, where there's a list under Exhibit 38 filed under seal. Well, not anymore. This is fresh material, some of which might have leaked earlier. But we now have 24 pages of documents involving people mostly from Baldoni's PR team. I'll share a few messages to give you the gist. And seriously, can someone explain why it's 2025 and court files still look like they were faxed from 1998? Where are the high-resolution images? Here's one of the messages. Hey tag team, I've been seeing some IG comments on random posts defending me by people who are private with no followers. They feel like bots. Can you confirm we're not doing that? I don't want bots defending me. It plays into their narrative. That's a direct quote. So what else do you need? These are private internal messages where Team Baldoni literally says, there better not be any bots. Melissa Nathan from the PR team replies, I can fully confirm we do not have bots. Think about it. If they were secretly using bots, this wouldn't be the conversation happening behind the scenes. These aren't public statements. They're internal communications. If anything, this shows integrity within the team. Melissa even adds that bots look fake to anyone and that the other team is doing something very specific. So it's clear Baldoni's people are distancing themselves from any fake engagement tactics. There's also mention of a pro-Blake account spreading fake news that Taylor Lorenz shared, which led to a flood of people replying and correcting her. Some then accused those replies of being part of a coordinated smear campaign. But that's a misunderstanding of how online communities work. When a major event happens, say the Super Bowl halftime show or Janet Jackson's infamous wardrobe malfunction, everyone reacts in real time, and similar jokes or comments emerge naturally. It's not a conspiracy, it's just how collective culture works. In this case, when people saw misinformation about the Baldoni Lively situation, many responded with the same fact-based correction because they were all seeing the same evidence. That's not bot activity. It's people thinking critically and reaching similar conclusions independently. To suggest that everyone who believes Baldoni's side of the story is part of a smear campaign is just lazy reasoning. It's like blaming consensus for existing. People can agree because they've reviewed the same text messages and arrived at the same logical endpoint. Before we dive into the next set of messages, we've got to take a quick break for a sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Veracity, an all-natural solution to boost your energy, sharpen focus, and support healthy metabolism. Veracity's doctor-formulated, drug-free supplements tackle the root causes of fatigue and slow metabolism. Their flagship product, Metabolism Ignite, is a GLP-1 booster alternative that's clinically proven to reduce hunger by 85% and help users lose around 9 pounds in 90 days. It's made with plant-based ingredients like lemon verbena, hibiscus, green coffee bean, and magnesium, and it's safe to use alongside prescription GLP-1 medications. Visit Veracity Self-Care. Come and use promo code RUSHHOUR for up to 45% off your order. Now, back to the bots discussion. The truth is, most bot activity these days happens automatically through algorithms and engagement farms. It's not the result of anyone intentionally orchestrating a campaign. My wife used to model for a well-known brand, and she'd constantly get random comments from strange accounts. Those weren't hired bots. They were engagement-harvesting bots trying to build their own networks by commenting on posts with high visibility. So the more famous you get, the more likely bots will show up, not to defend you or attack you, but simply to attach themselves to whatever people are already paying attention to. That's how the online ecosystem works. It's chaos, not conspiracy. This is actually what experts proved about the Russian disinformation campaign from a few election cycles ago. There really was Russian involvement, but not in the way people assumed. It wasn't about pushing one side over the other, Trump versus Hillary. The goal was much bigger and darker, to spread chaos, confusion, and mistrust in democracy itself. And honestly, they succeeded. They got Americans to turn on each other. If we could all just take a breath and learn to love our neighbors again, life would be a whole lot better. But what do I know? My voice is about shot, so let's get into more of these text messages. One of them reads, "Definitely don't want to play stories and yet just want to change the narrative. I wish they'd write that I only said nice things about Blake and never spoke disparagingly of the cast. It's clear the feud only works one way, and I'd love to start moving toward what's next. Not sure when that time will be right, but announcing that I'm directing Pac-Man might be a good move soon. Wait, he's directing Pac-Man? Is that still happening? Leave a comment if you know. Either way, this shows he wasn't attacking Blake. He was trying to move on and shift the focus to his next project. Melissa from his PR team replies, "We totally agree. The majority of the press and social sentiment agree with you as well. The next announcement should be planned perfectly, so let's discuss timing and background, because whatever you do next will obviously be linked to this. It should be placed with someone extremely friendly so we can control it as much as possible. That's textbook PR, controlling the story through safe channels. It's not manipulation. It's smart damage control. And honestly, it's very on-brand for Baldoni, who's always tried to take the higher road instead of trash-talking people. What's sad, though, is how naive that optimism was. These texts are from fall 2024, when he thought things might soon calm down and that he could start doing interviews unrelated to all this. He was wrong. Not his fault. That's just how these public battles drag on. Another message shows the team bracing for fallout. Seems the only scenario is either the premiere is canceled or he doesn't go. If he doesn't go, we need to get ahead of it and frame it as a potential boycott or imbalance of power narrative. If no premiere at all, we still need to get ahead of it, but in a softer way. As we now know, Baldoni did attend, but had to skip the red carpet and enter through the basement. Imagine that. The man who directed and championed the film, sneaking into his own premiere next to a couple of crates of bottled water. It's insulting, honestly. All the time and energy he put into the project, and that's how it played out. Then there's a bizarre exchange apparently involving Harvey, possibly Harvey from TMZ, saying, "Tell Alex what age or the word to pull with Brendan if effing stupid. Outrageous, sleazy, and we will not be a part of it." And the replies are just, "What? What? Really? Your own publicist is going rogue. It's chaotic. Hard to tell what it's even about, but it paints a picture of total confusion behind the scenes." There's also a message from Sarah Valdez mentioning Jennifer Nathan. Jennifer Nathan deserves to be on the front page of the New York Times, saying she's going to destroy and bury Blake Lively. Your company deserves to be destroyed and buried. Taking money to be strategic a-holes doesn't even need a special place in hell. You've already made one on Earth. Ouch. Clearly, the main war, Blake versus Baldoni, was spilling into mini-wars between their PR teams. Each side was threatening to bury the other. But let's be real, saying I'm going to bury them isn't illegal. It depends how. If you bury someone with lies, that's defamation. If you bury them with truth, that's just exposure. That's the difference. So far, there's no proof that Baldoni's team said anything false about Blake, and in U.S. law, truth is the ultimate defense. If the jury sees these messages and believes his side acted truthfully, Blake loses the case, plain and simple. The irony is that Blake is reportedly surrounded by yes people who keep cashing her checks while leading her straight into disaster. She's paying a fortune in legal fees, but money doesn't buy credibility. Her team might be smiling to her face while privately preparing for a loss. And that brings us to one of the most striking parts of all this, Baldoni's team venting. It just eats at me that for the first time ever, we did nothing, and we're being sued as if we were rallying people against her. Melissa Nathan replies, "I know. Do you want me to send our texts to Brian Friedman, or does he already have them?" Statement looks good. Love mentioning Stephanie and Leslie by name. The ones I sent last night were strongest. She then adds that she feels sick and can't even make calls because of stress. Friedman, their lawyer, apparently has everything documented. Texts, timelines, digital records. It sounds like they've built a meticulous case with public data, metadata, and even traces of alleged coordination between Blake's side and certain media outlets. At this point, the public narrative seems to have turned decisively in Baldoni's favor. The collective effort online to expose what's happening isn't some paid operation. It's people who are tired of manipulation and just want transparency. And then there's Nick Vile. He pops up again, taking what he thinks is a victory lap for Team Blake, claiming things are getting brighter and better. Bless his heart. He really believes that. But if you look at the evidence, it's a dumpster fire. Blake's case isn't trending toward victory, it's unraveling. Her lawyers might not lose their licenses, but they've made some questionable moves. The only thing they should be celebrating is that their paychecks are still clearing. As for that rumor that Baldoni's $400 million defamation suit was dismissed, that's just procedural. One claim being closed doesn't mean the whole thing is over. The broader legal and public battle is still very much alive. Now look, they did have an uphill battle with the defamation claim, but what Nick's about to say is based on completely faulty information. He really needs to get his producers in line so they can brief him properly and stop making him look foolish. He accused Justin of inappropriate workplace behavior, online harassment, and running a PR campaign, suggesting there's supposedly a lot of evidence for it, and that Justin's lawsuit was just a tactic to paint himself as the victim. But everyone he sued has already had their day in court, the New York Times included. And while Nick claims those cases were dropped and countersuits filed, he's ignoring key context. It's almost like he believes Justin has more power on the internet than Blake Lively, which is absurd. Justin doesn't have more power. He has more truth on his side, and that's what people are responding to. You can't manipulate public opinion if the facts aren't there. The reason the majority support Justin is because they've seen the evidence, and they've also seen the lack of it coming from Blake's side. Now, if by some chance Blake truly is the victim, and the evidence just doesn't exist to prove it, that's unfortunate. But in a situation like this, you need proof to condemn someone. The public relations campaign has done its job, sure, but the truth still holds weight. Nick and others like him keep taking victory laps, as though Blake's team has turned things around, and it's laughable. He acts like he's right while being insulated from how wrong he is. Honestly, I don't even blame him entirely. He's just out of touch. And look, I'm friends with Susie. I love her, and she's doing what she has to do. She's part of a good media company, and she's sticking to the script. But it would have been nice to see someone challenge Nick's talking points on that show instead of nodding along. There's still a lot at stake, and Justin's team has already responded with their side of things. So yes, I left my comment, because the misinformation was ridiculous. Melissa pointed out that Nick was trying to have his "see, I told you so" moment like Taylor Lorenz did, and completely missed. Then Miriam chimed in, saying I seem hesitant to criticize Taylor these days, that maybe our in-person meetup changed my stance and that she got a free pass. She even said Taylor was more self-righteous than Nick, calling out anyone who supported Baldoni and daring them to apologize to Blake's supporters. It's frustrating, but also kind of funny. And for the record, Miriam, you're wrong. I criticized Taylor in at least 3 videos and even replied directly to her tweet, calling her out respectfully but clearly. The tweet's still up. Then someone said, I think people are talking about your meetup. It looked like she did most of the talking and you just listened. To which I say, if there's one thing I'm not known for, it's sitting quietly and listening. The reality is my goal wasn't to dunk on her. It was to show that 2 people can talk despite disagreeing. Sure, maybe it didn't turn into a fiery debate, but that's not what I wanted. People complain that we never have productive dialogue anymore, and then when we finally do, they complain it wasn't heated enough. And for the record, that conversation wasn't some secret backdoor deal. Taylor didn't buy me off over lunch. The idea that I've gone soft on her because of one meeting is absurd. I've been accused of a lot of things, but selling out my opinions isn't one of them. Same goes for sponsorships. When I took Mint Mobile as a sponsor, people said I'd lose my integrity. Well, here we are. I haven't changed a single opinion, but apparently paying your own bills makes you morally compromised now. Newsflash, I've got a family to support. I don't have the luxury of handpicking sponsors a year in advance like Nick Vile. If a brand offers consistent support and I believe in the product, I'm taking the deal. That's how content creators survive. And no, working with sponsors or meeting people you disagree with doesn't make you corrupt. It means you're an adult who can separate personal conviction from professional reality. Taylor and I still disagree on a lot. She's friends with people on Blake's team, I know people on both sides, and we both have different interpretations of the evidence. But I can still talk to her. We both believe a genocide is happening in Gaza. We both think Zoran Mamdani would make a good mayor of New York. But we disagree about this case and about things like screen time for kids. That's normal. At the end of the day, not every disagreement has to be a war. I'll keep calling out things I believe are wrong, whether it's Nick's sloppy reporting or Taylor's bias, but I won't do it through hostility. I'll let the audience decide who's credible. Because really, Taylor and I are just two old millennials trying to make sense of the chaos online and keep our platforms running. That's all. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed the breakdown. Have a great weekend, hit subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, join Patreon at Patreon. Com Davanale. I'll see you Monday.